Everybody, thanks for watching. I I gotta put a stop to all the BS about Gilbert Arenas and Giannis. There's some things that I've heard being said from Gilbert. And there's things I've heard being said about this whole situation as it pertains to how idiotic his statements are. Let's be very clear about something. Gilbert, you're not really qualified to evaluate what greatness is because you were never great. You were good, but you weren't great. You made 3 All-Star appearances, never made an NBA Finals, never won a Finals MVP, never was Defensive Player of the Year. You weren't even in that conversation. You may have been in that conversation once. And Gilbert, this is coming from a person who used to be one of my favorite players. So this is no hate on you, but this is being objective, speaking with objectivity and facts. You were never on Giannis' level. You were never on Kobe's level. You were never on LeBron's level. You were never on Steph's level. You were never on Shaq's level. You were never on Tim Duncan's level. And we could go on and on and on. So how you think you get to evaluate someone else's greatness and say they're not intelligent? It bewilders me. How were you intelligent? You brought guns to a locker room. You can even play out the rest of your prime because of your lack of intelligence. But yet we're supposed to listen to you about basketball intelligence. You were not that intelligent. You faced LeBron a few times. You missed two free throws that could have potentially flipped the momentum of the series. You were not that guy. You're not qualified to evaluate what greatness is when many other players have achieved so much more than you. If you just sit there and say someone doesn't understand how to play basketball, you might want to really reevaluate what you're saying. There's no way you could be Defensive Player of the Year without having understanding of how to play basketball. It's not possible. There's no way you can average a double-double. There's no way you can be consistent at something and not understand how to play basketball. There's no way you can. He's the first player since Shaq to dominate the way he has. He's not only scoring by catching the ball in the paint, turning and dunking. He's playing off the perimeter. He plays off the ball. He cuts. He catches lobs. He passes out of double teams. He can score off the dribble. He shot about 42% from mid-range, which is slightly above average. So he's put the work in. He does hook shots. He does mid-range pull-ups. He does step-back threes. He does everything on the court he can do. He may not do it at an elite level, but name me the player who does everything at an elite level? Not even Jordan. Jordan wasn't shooting threes at an elite level. He wasn't passing the ball at a necessary elite level. And we only can put into perspective what elite is because we have other players we can compare it to who are elite at passing the ball, shooting the three-pointer, at hitting mid-range shots, etc., etc. Giannis has been averaging close to 30 points the past 4 or 5 years. Has been in the MVP conversation all of those years, has won a championship, not in the bubble. Dude missed the whole Hawk series, came back in the NBA Finals playing hurt, and beat the arguably the best team in the West. Best team in the West. Team that beat LeBron, albeit without Anthony Davis. Giannis beat this team. It was solely because of him. His game score was amongst the highest ever in NBA Finals, and Jordan has most of those games. There's no way you can't be. How can you? Please, I want someone to explain to me in the comments. How can you be successful at something that you don't understand? Or maybe just envy because he's just more successful than you. Or maybe it's because you want him to play a certain way when he doesn't have to capitulate to your style of play because it's not aesthetically pleasing to you. I didn't hear any of this stuff about Shaq and Gilbert. You played when Shaq was in the league, so I'm very perplexed as to how the standards changed. Giannis is about 7 feet. Shaq was 7'1". Giannis plays on the perimeter and the paint. Shaq only played in the paint. But I never heard anybody say Shaq couldn't play, didn't understand how to be great. Even though the whole comment you made about conditioning, that would apply to Shaq more than anything. Shaq wasn't even that playable in the fourth quarter because he couldn't hit free throws. At least Giannis could hit free throws at a higher clip than Shaq. And yet we penalize him for it. Man that transformed his body. Man that turned himself from averaging 7-8 points to MVP candidate every single year. All-around player, most versatile player in the NBA. A player you don't have to have a very specific type of team for him to be successful. You can win with a bunch of players being great on their own right. He doesn't need to dominate the ball or anything. And yet, somehow, some way, you come to the conclusion that he doesn't understand how to be great. Then you start moving the goalposts, talking about his minutes. Dude done played 40 minutes in the playoffs. Dude was playing high minutes for a while before Mike Budenholzer came in. Mike Budenholzer comes from the San Antonio Spurs side, who was notorious for managing star player minutes. You talk about playing high minutes, but these players like you, Allen Iverson, that weren't successful. They never won an NBA championship. It didn't work for you. So how do you try to act like that's your blueprint to be successful when it didn't work? You weren't successful. You failed. You failed. Your prime was cut short because of your lack of intelligence. As much as we all love AI was great, but if he was smarter, he probably would have won an NBA championship. Had he practiced more, he probably would have won an NBA championship. Had he took better shots or played to his strengths more, he probably would have won an NBA championship, or at least made it to another finals, but he didn't. And neither did you. You didn't win the finals. You didn't even go to the finals. AI made it farther than you. And AI was much smarter than you. I'm not saying this and I'm not trying to insult Gilbert Arenas or insult you, Gilbert Arenas, but we gotta be careful what we're saying. The guy that speaks more languages than you has been more successful than you at the same child sport that y'all both played. He's been more successful than most people who've ever played. And yet you keep doubling down. You keep doubling down on him for what? For what? Your analysis is off. I really want to understand where you're coming from, but every time you explain it, it just doesn't make any sense. Your arguments keep changing, and it has no relevance to what actually happens on the court and his team's success. His team you could lock his team in for 55 to 60 games every year. How do you do that not understanding basketball? How? The true measure of a great player is how well you do under pressure and how much you can lead your team to wins when it matters most. What you can do while you're out there on the court. Like Steph Curry only has to play about 32 minutes a night, and they're blowing teams out. So you're going to sit there and say Steph Curry will not be great at basketball because he don't play 38, 40 minutes? You can't be that stupid, man. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I don't mind debating. If I know Gilbert Arenas, show him this video. Because it's baffling what his perspective is. It makes no sense. Make great decisions. Peace.